Portable TV. Come watch with me. All right, Russiagate forever appears to be the theme here in Washington, even among President Trump's own administration, with the likes of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and AG Bill Barr both publicly accusing Russia of being behind the hack du jour, more commonly known now as the new SolarWinds hack that allegedly spread into the Treasury and Commerce departments. So joining us now to dig a little deeper, former U.S. diplomat Jim Jatras. Jim, always good to see you. So Pompeo and Barr are splitting from the president. What he's saying about SolarWinds, the former are agreeing with the new assessment from the likes of Microsoft, saying this is a cozy bear attack that stems from Russian state actors. What do you make of this break of Trump's lieutenants and their accusations, which have so far really lacked any evidence?
Well, it's not shocking to me at all, Manila. In fact, what would be shocking to me is if Trump ever appointed somebody to high office who actually agreed with him on stuff. I mean, this is the same Attorney General Barr who somehow can't manage to find any evidence of election irregularities. How about that? Look, unfortunately, Mr. Trump has to be one of the worst judges of personnel appointments in the history of America. You look at the parade of people he has put in charge of his policy who, A, didn't agree with him on anything, and B, as soon as they left, took the first opportunity to trash him after they left office, sometimes even before they left office. So, no, this does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I guess they know he's a lame duck at this point. There's no backtracking on the election, I guess. So why not defect from what he says? So this alleged hack is actually being brought on by the private sector here. Microsoft, FireEye, and some other private entities brought this to light. So if we hearken back to 2016 or 2017 during the first Russiagate scandal, we saw another private entity, CrowdStrike, led that charge, only to discover later that when the company chief Sean Henry testified under oath before Congress just this past May of 2020, what do you know, mid-pandemic, he said there was no evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. Nobody reported on that. We are. So with that said, knowing that CrowdStrike lied, who's to say FireEye or Microsoft isn't lying here? And what's their motive to do so if they are lying?
Well, let's look at the history of Russiagate as we've known it for the past 4 years, where look, this is fundamentally coming out of the apparatus of government, out of the so-called permanent government or the interagency consensus, particularly in the intelligence community, that has very cozy relationships with these companies. Look, Manila, I've heard somewhere, what's the slogan? Question more. I don't know if I believe anything about what these people are saying about what kind of hack supposedly took place and whether it did or did not. And frankly, whether we can even be sure that if it did, whether it was by a foreign actor. I don't think it's beyond the possibility that these people have actually done something that was entirely internally generated and then say, oh, yeah, the Russians did it. Or maybe somebody else wants to say, oh, it's the Iranians or the Chinese or whoever it is. But again, the Russians are the go-to guy for this entity, as we saw on display during the impeachment hearings.
Yeah, on that note, Jim, it does seem pretty easy, right, to keep pointing the finger at so-called foes, Russia and China. That is super convenient. But do you believe America's allies don't hack the U.S. and vice versa, that the U.S. doesn't hack or spy on its allies?
Sure, of course. Again, this is something that is at an elementary level of understanding of international politics. Is that countries spy on each other, countries hack each other, they probe against each other. In fact, we know that the Russians have repeatedly said to the Americans, based on what they claim are false charges of doing these things, fine. Let's negotiate an agreement in this area with verification and so forth, like we do with arms control agreements, which also, by the way, are going down the tube, so that we can have more confidence in what the other side is doing, a way to settle disputes, if there are concerns about what the other country is doing, some way to address that. And of course, Washington will not hear of that.
Now, speaking of arms talks going down the tubes with the incoming Biden administration, do you think that's going to go down the tubes along with potentially finally putting the Russian boogeyman? Finally, will that be laid to rest?
I hope against hope there at least could be some extension of the New START agreement. I don't know how likely that is. No, the boogeyman's not going away. It's going to be boogie, boogie, boogie from here on out. That if we thought that an anti-Russian policy had not only not declined during Trump, but actually intensified, we haven't seen anything yet. And Mr. Biden has already indicated that our response to this aggression is going to be more than just sanctions. And who knows what they have in mind. I expect to see a war heating up in Syria. I expect to see maybe things heating up in Ukraine. I think we have seen nothing yet in Manila.
Lastly, real quick, do you think there's anything weird of these Russiagate 2.0 allegations, their timing?
No, I don't think so at all. I think this is partly to, again, there's some speculation that Trump may pull a rabbit out of his hat in the House of Representatives or when the electors are certified. Maybe it's directed against that. Maybe it's designed to declaw him and detooth him in whatever final weeks he has left. I'm not sure, but I think this is actually a harbinger of what we will see after he leaves office. Remember, Andrew Weissman has accused him of a basically obstruction of justice for pardoning Roger Stone and Paul Manafort. I think they're going to come after him and come after him with a vengeance.
Oof, we will see. I mean, it's just a few weeks on the offing. Jim Jatras, always good to hear from you. Thank you.